ओंटारियो सरकार ने अपना 2023 ਦਾ ਬਜਟ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਪੀਟਰ ਬੈਥਲਨ ਫੈਲਵੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਐਕਸਪੈਂਸਿਵ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਜਟ ਹੈ 2023 ਦਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੇਅਰ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਸਰਜਰੀਜ਼ ਔਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਨੂਫੈਕਚਰਰਸ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਫੀ ਰਾਹਤ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਸਾਰੀ ਡਿਟੇਲਸ ਜਾਣਾਂਗੇ ਗ੍ਰਾਹਮ ਮੈਗਰੇਗਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਐਮਪੀਪੀ ਹੈ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਨਾਰਥ ਤੋਂ। ਗ੍ਰਾਹਮ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ।
Hello, G. Hello to all your viewers. Nitin, thanks for having me on the show.
Graham, recently, yesterday only, the finance minister, he presented the budget 2023. So can you let our viewers know about the main highlights which are presented in this budget?
Absolutely. So we released our budget 2023 as a plan to build a strong Ontario and build a strong economy. You know, we know that coming out of COVID, the economy is still struggling. Although I'll note Ontario is doing better than any other jurisdiction in North America in terms of our economic growth. Because of that, we've been able to release a budget which is the highest spending budget in Ontario history, over $200 billion that we're spending. But at the same time, we're running a very modest deficit of $2.2 billion with a plan to balance our budget over the next 2 years. And really, this budget was a big vindication that you know, there are some politicians out there that say that you have to tax people more in order to spend more money. We as progressive conservatives, we know that when you keep taxes low, you allow the economy to grow. That generates more revenue, so we can spend more money on healthcare. $15 billion more on healthcare in the next 3 years, $2 billion more a year on education, and more investments on highways, infrastructure, which I'm sure we'll get to in the next questions.
Graham, so question is like, what is there for small businesses and manufacturers in this budget?
So, you know, it's funny. Before Doug Ford got elected in 2018, we really saw manufacturing leave the province in record numbers. So under the Liberal government, the last 10 years they were in power, Ontario lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs. And we know that if we're not making things and selling things, our economy is not going to be strong. We can't all work in service industries. We can't all be politicians or media personalities. Somebody needs to be doing the work, making things and selling things. So we've seen under the Premier's leadership, manufacturing come roaring back. We're making Ontario the electric vehicle powerhouse of the world. You know, we're number 2 in the world right now here in Canada, all in Ontario. In terms of electric vehicle battery manufacturing, we want to be number 1. And we've seen investments come in from Volkswagen, the big gigafactory that's coming into St. Thomas. Here in Brampton, we have Stellantis building electric vehicles for the future. We have Ford in Oakville. We have GM in Oshawa. And we know that we need to keep this competitive advantage. So we have a new manufacturing rebate credit so that some of the smaller scale manufacturers that that are going to have to service these major auto players, when they buy new equipment, the government will offer a 10% tax incentive up to $2 million. So say if you buy $12 million of equipment, the government will give you a tax rebate for $1.2 million. And we think that this will really incent people to invest in their business, grow their business, hire more employees. You know, we have to make sure that we have the skilled, trained workers to fill those jobs as well, and that's another piece of the puzzle for us here. But you know, we know that Ontario can be the economic powerhouse of Canada, of North America. We're going to build it to be that.
Graham, some people say that this budget does not have investment for infrastructure, highways, and new medical schools. Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know what budget they'd be reading it. This budget, I'll tell you. So this is a 250-page budget. On page 4, we talk about our $27 billion investment in building new highways, including the Highway 413. It's right there on the 4th page. One of the first things that we talk about here in the budget. And you know, it's not just about building highways. We're also building transit. So, you know, that's about almost $30 billion on highways. We're spending almost $70 billion on building new transit. So that's the new subways going into downtown Toronto to Ontario Place. That's also the LRT coming from Port Credit up to Brampton. That's also increased GO train service that we're putting in. And I'd say we're spending almost $50 billion on new hospital infrastructure, including the second hospital, Peel Memorial, again recommitted to in this budget right here in Brampton, and as well, we actually not only are we recommitting to the Brampton Medical School, we actually announced more positions for the Brampton Medical School as well. So all in all, I mean, this budget was a big knockout, certainly for Brampton, but for Ontario as well. We're training doctors, we're training nurses, we're building hospitals, we're building highways, we're investing, but we're also growing our economy while we do it.
Graham, the budget is in deficit every year, and finance minister said that by 2025 the budget will be the balance of books will be balanced for Ontario.
Yeah.
How confident is that? And critics also say that this is the largest budget in province history because the reason is the inflation, high rate of inflation. Is that correct?
Absolutely, inflation had an impact, but really the biggest thing that we've been doing, Ontario is actually leading the country, and in many ways leading North America in terms of economic growth. We're coming out of COVID booming with our manufacturing sector. We, like I said, this is the highest number budget in Ontario history. This is the most money the government's ever spent. $15 billion over the next 3 years on healthcare, $27 billion on highways. But at the same time, we're doing it in a very fiscally prudent way. There are some politicians out there, particularly left wing, the NDP, the Liberals. They want to present a false choice to Ontarians. They want to say you can either tax people more or you can cut services. What Doug Ford and what the PCs have said, we don't have to tax people more. We keep taxes low, we grow the economy, create more revenue for everybody, and we can invest more in services when we do that. So when the economy does well, we're able to pay for things like highways, like roads, like bridges, like infrastructure, because of our booming economy and because we're building a strong Ontario.
In the budget, it's also talked about the pharmacies, over-the-counter medications, and also the private surgeries. Many funds has been allocated for this field too.
Absolutely. So we're, on the pharmacy note, your viewers will remember, I think I was here to talk about it at the time. Earlier in the year, we allowed 13 common ailments to be covered, to be prescribed at a pharmacy. So if you had pink eye, a hemorrhoid, things like that, instead of having to go to a doctor, wait in the doctor's office for them to see you, for them to prescribe to you, and then go to the pharmacy, you're able to do that in a one-stop shop. What we've done now is we've actually, the health minister directed the College of Pharmacists to put regulations together to expand that. So we've expanded that for other very common illnesses, about a dozen more of those, including things like acne. So believe it or not, if you had mild to severe acne, bumps on your face, and you needed prescribed medication to go do it, you needed to go to a doctor's office to get that prescription. Well, now, if we pass the budget, which we expect to, you'll be able to do that right at your local pharmacy. It's not just about making more investments in healthcare, which we're doing. We're spending the money, but we also want to make it more convenient for Ontarians to access healthcare. If you don't have to go to a hospital, you shouldn't go to a hospital. And regarding the surgeries, to put more surgeries into community clinics, we're still on track to start next year having hip and knee surgeries happen out in community clinics. And, this is another thing, these are very kind of minor surgeries compared to what you could get. And why would that person have to go to a hospital? Now, it is OHIP covered, not credit card covered. So I want to assure your viewers that you'll always pay with your health card. But, if you don't have to go to a hospital, why would we send that person into a hospital waiting room? Why don't we preserve our hospital capacity for people that are facing emergencies, urgent issues that they need to address?
So, Graham, overall, how you see this budget, and anything you personally as a MPP, because you are one of the hardest working MPP, so you find that this is missing and you can expect a next year's budget, or you are satisfied with this budget?
I'm very, very happy with this budget. Thank you for calling me the hardest working MPP. You gotta make sure to tell your viewers that anytime they'll listen. But no, I'm happy with this budget. This is pushing us forward in the right direction. We're going to continue to advocate for things for Brampton that we want to see more. Obviously, we'd like to see more healthcare investment into Brampton. We'd like to see even more GO Train service. We'd like to see more jobs coming to Brampton. But I was very happy. Second hospital committed to. Ryerson Medical School getting expanded positions. We got $4 million for the City of Brampton's Beehive, supporting entrepreneurs coming into Ontario and investing in here. this was, this is a home run budget for Brampton. So we could always do more, and I want more, and I'm fighting for more. I want your viewers to know that. But I'm very, very happy with this budget. I really look forward to voting for it at Queen's Park.
And your final message to Ontarians on this budget?
That we've got your back, right? The Ontario PCs, we get it. There are some politicians out there that'll say Ontario shouldn't grow anymore. There are some politicians that'll say the only way to invest in services is to raise taxes and punish families and punish workers. We don't believe that. We know Ontario's growing. We know Ontario's booming. We're going to build a stronger, better Ontario for you and your family. We're going to keep investing. We're going to keep working for you.
Thank you, Graham, and all the best.
Awesome. Thank you, Nitin.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Discipline, planning, and clear priorities. I'm pleased to report that in 2022 fiscal year, the deficit is projected to shrink to just $2.2 billion. In 23-24, we plan to further reduce the deficit to $1.3 billion, and starting next year, we will return Ontario to the black with a modest surplus of $200 million, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals and NDP never spared much thought to highways or the people stuck on them. And in the last election, it seems that the voters' appeal region across the GTA noticed. Well, we don't take drivers for granted. We told them we would build more highways, and we are. Highway 413, we said we would do it. We're building it. Where Ford is making a $1.8 billion investment to produce electric vehicles. And oh, by the way, Mr. Speaker, on our way back to Queen's Park, we'll take a brief detour, if that's all right, to St. Thomas, the future home of Volkswagen's first ever overseas battery cell plant. While the previous government let more than 300,000 manufacturing jobs in Ontario flee, this government is bringing the cars of tomorrow, the jobs of the tomorrow, and the investments of tomorrow right back to Ontario, right here, right now, today.